Hey everyone, we're back here again for episode 4 of GeoGuessr in California. And let's see what's going on here. Opimo Court. Alright, so we'll try to work our way out of this neighborhood. But yeah, I've just got a there's something that's kind of been on my mind because I've been reading Jean-Paul Sartre's Being in Nothingness as part of uh, the readings that I'm going to have to complete for my comprehensive examination. And I'm still grappling with the text a lot, so I can't say I've read it properly, but there's some aspect of it that is I don't know. I feel like maybe I need to talk it out. That's really what it comes down to. Before we do that, I don't know. I don't have indicators yet of where we are, and I'm kind of lost relative to where Opimo Court was, but that's okay. We'll keep working our way up to a main road. So as I read it, Jean-Paul Sartre, and we only read about 100 pages of selections from Being in Nothingness, which is only about a sixth of the book. But from what I gather here, so he sets up this opposition here between what he calls being for itself and being in itself. Where being in itself would be a statement such as, this is a pen. The pen is a pen in itself. It is what it is. Uh, but that's not really a statement that you can make of humans. Humans lack this essence that allows that allows an exclamation of a thing of that matter. A pen is a pen is a pen. But when you ask what a human is, it is strictly speaking tautological to say that a human is a human, but it doesn't elucidate much. So the example, well, Sartre gives a lot of examples in his book, but one of the biggest ones that he gives is if you have if there's a waiter in a cafe and he is attempting to perform his waiterness. He's acting the way that he feels like a waiter should. Uh, his actions are too exaggerated. His the way that he talks is too affected. In a sense, it's like he's like playing a character, despite the fact that he is literally a waiter in this cafe. He also isn't, and in some respects, what is happening is he is pretending that he is an object that is essentially a waiter, and this object has characteristics. And if he performs those characteristics, he becomes a waiter. And to Sartre, what he would illustrate by this is what is called, this is what Sartre would call mauvaise foi, bad faith, because there's a confusion of things that have being for itself as having being in itself. There's as if there's some essential quality of, oh, as if there's some essential quality of being that we can discern, that we can belong to free ourselves from the, okay, I think I know where we are, to free ourselves from the responsibility of dictating the terms of who we really are, what possibilities really exist for the human, um, who who persists in the world. And famously, yeah, Bernardo Center Drive. Here we go. So let's look for Lomaka. There it is, Lomaka Drive. All right. So within here, we were in. I think it was in Aurelia. So I'm going to move us over here. Yeah, the bend around Aurelia Drive. So return to start. Opimo. Okay, no, not Aurelia. Opimo. Lomaka Drive. Yeah, so we have an absolute freedom that restricts us from forgoing this way of being, uh, where we can pretend that we are something that is essentially what it is. This is not a privilege that the human being can have, and it's something that we feel. A pen presumably does not dream of the things that it isn't, whereas a human is always characterized by this lack that must be filled. This object of desire. So again, this is my gloss on Sartre. All right, I'm just gonna put us like here. That's what I'm gonna do. Cool. All right. So next, 12th Street. All right. And we have another name or a sign over. We do. Okay. Let's jump over here first and see what we can find. Kenmar. And we have an area code 707. Ooh, I think 707 is. I don't know where 707 is. Woof. Um. Okay. Well, shoot. Let's try to continue along this highway and see if we can find an indicator of the name of this highway. 101. Uh-oh. Let's see if we can find the name of a city. The 101 is in so many places. It goes up and down the coast. We know that it's not going to be in San Diego. That much we know. And 707 precludes the LA area. It precludes the 805. It precludes most of the Bay Area, I believe, which means we're going to be up here somewhere, I think. That's what I think. Is that correct? South on the 101. All right, let's see if we can get an indicator once again for... There are no control cities on this thing. Yeah, I guess you just have to know where you're going and what that means. Anyway, shoot, was I talking about Sart? Yeah, I was talking about Sart. So I guess it's kind of interesting because there's this... Uh, and I mean, from at least what we were assigned to read out of being in nothingness, it's difficult for me to say any more specifically on the normative directive that Sartre has included there. So a lot of what I can assume. Okay, so this is in the north. Good. Trinidad Eatery. I think I know where a city named Trinidad will be. I think it's in the Eureka area. Yeah, there's a video game called... Yep, here's Trinidad. There's a video game called NieR Automata, which... And there's a lot of depth here. I've seen it probed a little bit on... I've seen it probed a little bit on YouTube. There's this one video essay. I forget who made it. But... I forget who made it, so we're on the 101. But more or less, it hints at the case that you're these androids. You're like literally these beings that are manufactured from parts that can be teleported from body to body and that emerge from vending machines on the surface of a planet. And it's very Sartrean in its in the kind of message that Yoko Taro, the game's creator, is trying to convey. Because like you even face down all of these different like robots that are named after philosophers in service of some mission that you have no agency over, which is basically that humans have retreated to the moon, and they've retreated to the moon. Okay, so it's not in Trinidad proper. And in the moon, from the moon they have designed these androids who live in this space station called the bunker, who they send down to fight the robots who were created by these aliens who invaded Earth and forced them off of Earth. And this war has been going on for like, oh, I don't know, I think it's like 14,000 years or something. So it's been going on for like ever. None of the androids has like seen a human. They just get deployed down there, they fight, and then they get destroyed, and hopefully their consciousness is preserved and re-uploaded back to the bunker, and they just go down there and they fight again. So they have no immediate stakes, and yet in this war that's being fought, and yet their existence is entirely hinged on it. So there's this sense that a robot, as we see it, is this being in itself. It's an object that has meaning only in as much as it's assigned to it. But in practice, they express desires and wants. They react to trauma and grief. they question things, and that's inclusive of like the meaning of their actual place in the world. There are Yorha is the name of the android special forces unit that lives in the bunker, that operates out of the bunker, and the Yorha units, uh, they are centered specifically on this mission to like one of them, 9S, who's a playable character, is always like, yeah, but like, why are we doing whatever, so and so and so. And in response, you have like the person who accompanies him to be will say things like, feelings are prohibited. It's like, it's not our job to think about these things. It's our job to carry out orders. Here you see this Sartrean contrast of the being in itself and the being for itself. And it throws into the mix when you see other Yorha units which like defect from the mission that Yorha intends to carry out. And like when you're tasked to like hunt them, it's like, wait, but why are we doing this? Why is our mission suddenly changing to like destroy these units? So there's a lot of complexity there and I won't spoil the game, but as it evolves, I'll at least note this. So it's really interesting that you face down all of these enemies, and these enemies are they're like literally all philosophers who have their own like ideas and systems, and you like just destroy them. Uh, and then after you destroy them, you just forget about them. And so you have like this little baby in a forest who's named Emmanuel after Immanuel Kant. You have Hegel, uh, who is like, it's so funny because like, so you have this one character, this android character named A2, who like is one of the people who defects from Yorha, and she goes out into the desert. She's just like, I just want to kill some robots, and then she meets like Hegel, whose big thing is this idea that we all participate in like this oneness of this universe that is attuned to its own self-knowing and self-understanding that increases over time. There's a kind of dialogue that happens uh, as you exist in the world, and you converge on what this true understanding really means about who you are, your place in the world, your relations to the world, which is more fundamental than any individual instantiation that you or any other object actually manifests in the world. Uh, so A2 goes into the desert, and she just fights this. She just like fights like Hegel, and in doing so is so damaged that she discovers that she, you know, she has to care about something that is more than just herself. So in doing so, she finds herself. She understands the place of the android in the world as a result of her participation in this fight, which was utterly pointless. It was undertaken for no reason other than the fact that she's driven at the beginning by nothing other than this hatred. Yeah, so I bring it up because like and philosopher after philosopher you fight Simone, as in Simone de Beauvoir, the feminist existentialist. You fight Marx and Engels, and Marx is literally like an arm that just comes out of a factory where the robots have seized their own means of production and are intending to like destroy them, and are intending to more or less emancipate themselves from the attacks that have been placed upon them by the androids. Um, and it's just really fascinating, right? Man, this has nothing to do with geography. I'm not sure, and it's fine, I guess. Whatever. I'm just gonna drop this down somewhere in Trinidad because I'm taking way too long and I'm not getting any progress going. So, okay, so it's Fortuna. So over here, um, Kenmar Road. All right, there's Kenmar. Oh, what happened? Okay, all right. Well, I don't want that. Oh, okay, I see. All right. Well, next. So, I guess a part of the reason why I'm wrestling with this as regards place is, oh, Sac County, La Habra Way. Okay, Castaic Drive is probably the main road here. I don't know where La Habra Way would be in Sacramento County. Well, yeah, Sacramento is known as the City of Trees. As far as California, it has a couple names. Also, like the Indomitable City, because in the 1850s it suffered all these kinds of like crazy. Well, whatever. I'm gonna follow the train of thought that I had before. Um, so what is it about this being for itself and being in itself that matters so much? So at least my understanding here, following also the manifestations of these ideas in NieR Automata, is systematically in NieR Automata, the meaning that these androids find in being in themselves as like this futile kind of uh, inauthentic way of existing in the world. Like um, this is something that many of them never fully address until the end. Well, I suppose A2 does, but and like every move that they make here shapes the agenda that they have as they negotiate and address with this either presence or absence of what they are in themselves. So like the three characters in the automata, to be very much represents the being in itself, the object that has an essential purpose, uh, almost all the way until the end. 9S is what happens when you have this dissolution of the being in itself, this confronting. He confronts the fact that he's been living in bad faith, but he has no object of meaning to replace it with himself, and he goes insane, in part because of grief. And you have 2B. Oh, and then you have A2, who has already come to terms with this. And at the very end, you almost have to make a decision between the forms of being that exist, and either you can choose A2 and this kind of emancipatory uh, outcome, or you can choose 9S to play out a situation with 9S that involves or an art and arcade. Okay, you can choose to play out a situation with 9S that more or less involves a the sort of transcendence beyond meaning that is given to you for what you're going to be. I don't know if that makes sense. Um, I guess a lot of the dialogue that I'm thinking of. So like the geography of NieR Automata is something that's relevant here because like unlike most places in the world, like the ones we're exploring now in NieR Automata, um, the whole game is almost set like a stage. Like you have this region that has like it's just like this vast desert area. You have a region that's just like city ruins. You have like a forest and all these different areas, an amusement park, and it almost feels like you're just in an amusement park. Uh, because in many ways, the map that is presented in your automata is a stage that is set for the playing out of the evolution of these characters or their dissolutions, the stories that manifest as a result of their interactions in the world, um, that defines and redefines them. In many cases, you have basically these affectual sources of these events that play out in each of these places, and uh, so like for instance, there's this extremely like harrowing scene that happens with 2B towards the end of the game, where you start within the ruins of the city, and you have to make your way to this location. Um, hmm. Actually, I'm not really sure how to close that loop, so I think I'll just let it sit for now. Uh, this is not Arden Arcade. This is still Downtown Sac. So Arden Arcade is over here, and we're looking for Arden Way. Here's Arden Way, in the intersection with La Sierra. There's McLaren, there's Gary, there's Gregory, there's Kingsford, Arden Bluffs, Park, Arden Way's east-west here. Okay, I guess I could have figured that out. And started somewhere a bit more specific. Here's La Sierra. Okay, so we're somewhere down here. I'm going to go back, return to start. And the intersection that we're looking for is Castec and Coronado. Castec. Castec and Coronado. Here's Castec. Castec and Coronado. Okay. And we're one house down in this direction. All right, great. Um, yeah, so maybe the connection to draw from all of this is, there's this tension, right? Like, do you define yourself, or are you defined by by something else, something beyond what you are? Do you exist as a being in itself, or a being for itself? And if you are a being for itself, then uh, does your denial of that reality place you in this position of bad faith, as Sartre describes it? Not as like, not in this public sense, as you're deceiving another person per se, but in the sense that you are denying the fundamental uh, existence of yourself as a being for itself, which has responsibilities to attend to that are intrinsic to the fact that it exists in the world with an absolute freedom to define its own meaning. Sartre famously makes the claim, existence precedes essence. In other words, before any meaning prescribes us our place in the world and what it should be, we exist. So we must manufacture that meaning, which is certainly a principal theme of NieR Automata. And I guess I'm curious here because I feel like, what I've been developing in my mind here has been uh, this notion of what place is, uh, and how much agency we have in really defining ourselves. I think I depart from at least my understanding of Sartre in this way, because Foursquare Church Gymnasium. Because I don't. I mean, there's a facticity to. I mean, I feel like we're in Northern California. I've seen Butte, I've seen Amador. It sort of looks like Northern California, but I haven't seen any indicators of what tiny little city we're in. um, so yeah, being for itself. There are absolute boundaries that we cannot ignore. Well, there that do contour the specific concern. Yeah, 707. So we're in Northern California. There are hard boundaries that do confine the specific decisions we can make, but we can never totally foreclose all the decisions that are present to us in Sartre, at least. We You can always choose to cease to exist, for instance. Uh, these are all possibilities to confront. Even if your decisions are limited, there are still decisions for you to make. And you are free to make decisions in that sense. But I do feel like there's an aspect of existence that dictates. Just give me a city name. Del Norte County. Del Norte County. Okay, so this is probably Crescent City. That's what I think, because there's only like one major city in Del Norte County. Assuming this is a major city, I don't know if it counts as one. It certainly seems like it certainly seems like it's not very large. Courthouse, post office, museum downtown. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to this road here, and I'm gonna go west towards this intersection of Calaveras and Loft, which is going to presumably be up here. Okay, so Calaveras and Loft. Let's look for Loft. Loft's over here, and then you have a bunch of county names. So here's Calaveras. All right, Calaveras and Loft. Return to start, and we are 2 houses to the east. Calaveras and Loft. Here. Oops. Yeah, I mean, I make such mistakes. Yeah, I feel like there's an aspect of place, and maybe it only controls uh, the facticity that grounds that grounds the kinds of decisions you can make. But there's something else there. Okay, so weird that they put it on the opposite sign, but oh well. I guess if you don't have money, uh, 37 is this road here, and we're close to the Discovery Kingdom exit. Was that it? Oh, I feel like this is a new place. What? No, wait, hold on. Yeah, Discovery Kingdom, Fairgrounds Drive. So I think that's on the Marin County side. We're facing west. We're facing due west. So it's not on the Marin County side. It's going to be here. Yo, okay, Vallejo. Fairgrounds Drive. Which means on the backside here, due east is the exit from 80. Okay. Yeah, I feel like I guess I can't decide if there is some element of this facticity that we described that I've been talking about here that converges on. Okay, we have Rancho Bernardo. Is there a determinism? I guess I'm wondering. Like, are we determined, and as our like even if we're constituted by the places we successfully access, are we also determined by them? Um, does it foreclose our ability to experience and understand different things simply because we do not see the light? And what degree of responsibility does it actually lend to us as regards understanding, who we really are? This needs to stop opening these extra tabs. Because I'm not certain that this absolute freedom is something. I don't feel like I necessarily hold people to that standard myself. So because it's going to be contingent on there's a contingency that's always going to be present as I think about, well, like, is this something that I should have expected you to understand how to navigate? Like, there are contingencies on the absolute freedom that Sartre describes that is inescapable for us. That is true in some respect, but only if we center the individual uh, in this moment, wherein they constitute their own being uh, from the decisions that they can or cannot make, even if they don't have very good decisions. So I guess I don't know if I buy I don't know if I personally buy this idea that this contingency is something. It's something to really like hang my hat on, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I just have to think about it more. But we're done with GeoGuessr here. So thanks for joining in. We had Fortuna, Crescent City, Arden Arcade, Vallejo, and Rancho Bernardo. All right, well, until next time, all, take care. Bye bye.